Good morning, students. I am Mukesh Singh Bagel. I am teach you subject Advanced Machine Design, and the subject code is ME 8001. Today we will discuss about the strain gauge. Okay, so as you know, because in previous lecture I described some about the strain gauge. Today I would like to describe the principle, types, feature, and application of the strain gauge. So what is the strain gauge? This is the first question. What is strain gauge? So strain gauge may be defined as it is an important geotechnical tool that measures strain in underground cavities, tunnels, building, concrete, dams, bridges, soil, oblique concrete, etc. So we can say that here strain gauges are important geotechnical tool which are used to determine stress in underground cavities. Underground cavities, or maybe it may be tunnels, it may be buildings, concrete, dams, bridges, etc. So first I would like to write down the definition of the strain gauge. The strain gauges are an important geotechnical tool tools that that measure measure strain in underground cavities in underground cavities, tunnels, buildings, concrete, dams, bridges. Actually, this is the application. There we are use a tool, strain gauge, etc. Okay, this is the definition of the strain gauge. Strain gauge are an important geotechnical tool that measure strain in underground cavities, tunnels, building, concretes, dams, bridges, etc. So the next question is arise, what is the purpose of the strain gauge? So we can say that the main purpose of a strain gauge is to indirectly determine stress and its variation with time. ओके सो क्या पर्पस है यहाँ पर? पर्पस ये है स्ट्रेन गेज का टू डिटरमाइन स्ट्रेस एंड इट्स वेरिएशन विद टाइम. सो इसमें एक क्वेश्चन फिर से अराइज होता है कि अब यहाँ पर स्ट्रेस क्या है, स्ट्रेन क्या है. तो माय डियर स्टूडेंट्स, आप सभी ने स्ट्रेस और स्ट्रेन अच्छे से पढ़ रखा है, फिर भी मैं यहाँ पर स्ट्रेस को एक बार फिर से एक्सप्लेन कर देता हूँ कि व्हाट इज स्ट्रेस. व्हाट इज स्ट्रेस? व्हाट इज स्ट्रेस? So stress may be defined as load or force load or force acting on the body, force acting on the body, divided by cross section area of the body, divided by cross section area of the body, okay. This is a stress. We can say that load or force acting on the body, divided by cross section area of the body. Okay, so we can here stress may be denoted by, that sigma is equal to P upon A. Okay, this is the general formula which are used for the stress, but if we discuss deeply about the stress, so we can say that every material is elastic in nature. That is why whenever some external system of forces act on the body, okay, I repeat, every material is elastic in nature. That is why whenever some external system of forces acts on the body, it undergoes some deformation. Okay, as the body undergoes deformation, its molecules set up some resistance to deformation. This resistance per unit area to deformation is known as stress. Okay, this resistance per unit area is known as stress. Okay, mathematically stress may be defined as the force per unit area. Okay, so this is the about the stress. Okay, when we discuss about the strain gauges, when we discuss about the strain gauge में जब भी हम बात करेंगे strain gauge tools की, तो उसमें हम स्ट्रेस को डिटरमाइन करते हैं. ठीक है, जब हम स्ट्रेस को डिटरमाइन करते हैं तो हमें पता होना चाहिए एक्चुअल में स्ट्रेस होता है क्या है. ठीक है, सेकंड क्या है, यहाँ पे हम बात कर रहे हैं कि स्ट्रेन की. फर्स्ट लिखा हुआ है स्ट्रेन गेज आर इम्पोर्टेंट जो टेक्निकल टूल दैट मेजर स्ट्रेन. अब जब स्ट्रेन को मेजर करना है तो मुझे ये पता होना चाहिए कि स्ट्रेन होता क्या है. तो स्ट्रेन को हम ऐसे लिख सकते हैं, स्ट्रेन में बी डिफाइंड एज स्ट्रेन may be defined as change of length of the body upon original length of the body. It may be written as change of length of the body, Okay, so we can see that strain may be defined as change of length of the body divided by original length of the body. Okay, so strain is denoted by equal to del L upon small l. Okay, where del L is क्या है, del L is the change in length of the body and small l is the original length of the body. So this is about a strain. Okay, so when we discuss about the strain tool or strain gauge tool, we know what is the strain. Okay, it may be defined as strain may be defined as whenever a single force or a system of force act on the body, it undergoes some deformation. I repeat, whenever a single force or a system force act on a body, it undergoes some deformation. this deformation per unit length, is known as strain. The deformation per unit length is known as strain. Okay, so mathematically strain may be defined as the deformation per unit length. So my dear friend, this is about, my dear student, this is about stress and the strain. Okay, because strain gauge is a tool which are used to determine stress and its variation with time. So this is about stress and strain. So next we will discuss the next topic about the invention of the strain gauge. We can say that the next topic is who invent strain gauge. So right here, strain gauge इन्वेंटेड. किसने इन्वेंशन किया स्ट्रेन गेज का? हम यहाँ लिख देते हैं स्ट्रेन गेज इन्वेंटेड. हु इन्वेंटेड? So write down the name of the inventor of the strain gauge, which is called Edward E. Simmons. And Arthur C. Roach. Okay, these are the two inventors which invented strain gauge in 1938. Okay, in 1938. Okay, so it is one of the significant sensors. We can also say that it is the one of the significant sensor used in the geotechnical field to measure the amount of strain on any structure. I repeat, it is one of the significant sensor used in geotechnical field to measure the amount of strain on any structure. Structure means it's maybe dams, building, nuclear plants, etc. We can write here the important terms: structure, which are used to determine, the geotechnical tool are used to determine the stress of the structure, which is dams, buildings, nuclear plants, tunnels, etc. Okay, so we can say that strain gauge are used to determine the amount of strain. ठीक है, कितना स्ट्रेन है वो हमने यहाँ पर बाय द हेल्प ऑफ स्ट्रेन गेज डिटरमाइन किया. स्ट्रक्चर्स में भी डैम्स, बिल्डिंग्स, nuclear plants, tunnel, etc. These are the structure which are used to determine the strain, okay, by the help of strain gauge. स्ट्रेन गेज की हेल्प से हम यहाँ पर डिटरमाइन कर सकते हैं कि कौन कैसे हम यहाँ पर वैल्यूज निकालते हैं, ओके, स्ट्रक्चर्स की. सो अब नेक्स्ट है यहाँ पर है हाउ डज स्ट्रेन गेज वर्क. स्ट्रेन गेज वर्क कैसे करता है. अब नेक्स्ट टॉपिक हम डिस्क्राइब करेंगे हाउ डज अ स्ट्रेन गेज वर्क. ओके, हाउ डज अ स्ट्रेन गेज वर्क. Next is here working of strain gauge. Write down here working of strain gauge. of strain gauge. Strain gauge. Okay, so I would like to explain how it works. A strain gauge depends on the electrical resistivity of any conductor. I repeat, a strain gauge depends on the electrical resistivity of any conductor. The resistance in any conducting device is depend on its length as well as cross-section area. Okay, the resistance in any conducting device depend on its length as well as the cross-section area. Let me explain by the example. Suppose I write here suppose L1 is the original length of wire and L2 is the new length after an external force force is applied on it the strain is given by the formula strain is equal to L2 minus L1 divided by L1. This is the equation to determine the strain. So by the help of this equation we can easily determine the strain value. Okay, so we can say that now whenever an external force change the physical parameters of an object, its electrical resistivity also change. Okay, I repeat, now whenever an external force changes the physical parameter of an object, its electrical resistivity also change. A strain gauge measure this deformity by using the gauge factor formula. Okay, so what is the gauge factor formula? The gauge factor formula I write here. The gauge factor formula I write here the gauge factor formula. The gauge factor is the sensitivity coefficient coefficient of strain gauges and is given by the formula and is given by the formula GF equal to gauge factor formula GF equal to delta R divided by RG to strain. This is the gauge factor formula which are help to determine value of strain or stress. Okay, this is about gauge factor formula where delta R here, where delta R equal to change in the resistance, caused due to strain. And Rg equal to resistance of the undeformed gauge. Resistance of the undeformed gauge. You know that it's equal to strain. Simple. So my dear students, today we discuss about the application of strain gauge, the working of the strain gauge, and the definition about the strain gauge. Okay, so I think it is sufficient for the today's topic. In the next lecture we will meet with a new topic. So thank you very much. Good day to all.